so good at picking up space. It's going to be Jazz Wilkinson's job to patrol that space and make sure that number 10 in Cardinal can't pick up the ball.
Evans, freshman, good with the ball at her feet. Now Rubenstein. Probing ball, Kosmeyer holding up the defender. Kosmeyer, a little burst of pace and a brave block. Leska Carlier, who's coming off her best match of the season against Cal, puts in another strong tackle.
It's good patience from Carlier. Stay with Kosmeyer. Know she's going to feint left, go right, understand that she wants to get it onto her right foot. Stay with it, make a good time challenge.
Rubenstein's cross. Rainbows in, back post. Too tall for Montoya. Montoya trying to turn, and Van Dersen finalizes the clearance. Samantha Williams, great skill, blowing by Lucy Johnson. A teasing touch into the box. Shots away, and it's well held. Strong hands from the keeper. Pauline Nels falling to the ball, but excellent flare down the right side from Williams there.
And here comes Stanford, right? First 7 minutes, all ASU. The last 7, Stanford have grown into this game, and we said it, ASU, a couple of good opportunities early. Stanford might just need 1 or 2. Pauline Nels doing a good job. Both teams starting to find opportunities. It hasn't been as open as the Cal game was in the first 15 on Thursday night for the Sun Devils, but still chances all around.
Graham Winkworth said to us in the build-up to the match and the run-in, he was going to be brave today. He asked his team what they wanted to do, if they wanted to change tactically against such a strong opponent. Ultimately, they decided that teams need to start adjusting to ASU and not the other way around. They're good enough to be that object for their opponents, and today it's been very evenly contested, but Stanford trying to do something about that. Montoya, she's been a thorn in the side of the Sun Devils as she moves the ball into the center for Angie. Rubenstein overlapping. Her cross. Wilkinson stepping in front of it, and worse for wear as she stuck her nose into the fan quite literally. Going to bring the medical staff on. Wilkinson provides that caution to the wind style of defending, that grit in midfield, and now paying the price for that.
She's been good today, too. I mean, covering ground, patrolling, doing what she was been asked to do. Graham Winkworth, you just mentioned my teams are going to play ASU, but you still have to be able to merge and mold in the same way, whereas Wilkinson, who is kind of that perfect balance of ASU today, she's going to sit and defend and be that old-school ASU against Stanford where they're going to grind out results and try and play. But also they have this technical quality around her that allows the Sun Devils to be a little bit better going forward.
You know, she's not the player with her name up in lights. Jasmine Wilkinson isn't on the marquee when you come into Sun Devil Soccer Stadium, but she is one of the most irreplaceable players that Graham Winkworth has at his disposal here in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell because she didn't start the season off as this starting holding midfielder, the 6. It was Alexia Delgado who started there. That was so they could fit in the very talented freshman and Asia Colon into the lineup. And I think Winkworth, about some way through that non-conference schedule, realized that Wilkinson allows Delgado to do what she does best, and that's why she's in there. It'd be interesting. He talked coming into the game today about rotations and how you'd see Jazz spelled, you'd see Delgado spelled, you'd see Van Dersen all spelled in different moments. We'll see how this affects how Winkworth wants to go about this game, this injury. She's still down on the field, still getting treatment from the medical staff.
Of course, we do hope Jasmine Wilkinson is all right and is able to carry on. But in the event that she's not, how does Graham Winkworth shuffle a deck, provide that defensive cover that they're going to need now in midfield as Wilkinson's back to her feet?
He hasn't had too much this year. You know what I mean? Wilkinson has played the 90 consistently the last couple games. The answer is Alexia Delgado, you would think, comes in, but it's actually going to be, look at that, Lauren Kerberg, who's inherently a center back by trade. She'll step into this holding midfield role. clearly signaling what Winkworth wants out of that defensive midfielder today against Stanford, right? You want to see someone who's going to sit and defend and win balls in midfield primarily, and then after that, he'll figure it out.
Curious to see if that becomes a pressure point that Stanford tries to get after with their press. Test Kerberg in possession a little bit.
You'd expect it.
A little bit of a lazy ball from Carlier, and it's won back by Stanford. Big collision and out of the pack. Bustling forward, Douglas, who picks her pass on the wide right. It's Matthews. Matthews trying to drive it towards the 6-yard box, and it's well defended. Elise Evans flying over and protecting goal.
It's great patience from Douglas to drive and understand and then lay off Carrie Matthews, who took a little too long with it. We'll see how that injury also affects the pace of this game. It kind of killed off. It was a game that was moving towards a nice smooth rhythm. We'll see what happens from there.
Van Tursen struggling to keep it. Stanford has put a physical stamp on the match so far. Cardinal clear their lines. Doms, tidy turn in midfield. Evans, beautiful ball, switching play. Trying to send Montoya off to the races, and again, Stanford trying to navigate down the left side. That really feels like where they're funneling most of the play. Right. What do you make of that?
They're trying to attack, and they clearly don't want to go after Lucy Johnson, who's, I think, the better of the two fullbacks, and also Ava Wright, just a freshman. You want to try and pick on the younger players who have never really played in this kind of heat. Not the first day game for Arizona State, but the last one was that UAB game, and ASU was kind of so dominant in that one that Wright didn't have to do much defending.
Here's Montoya again. Lapses out for a throw. But really that right side of the back line of ASU with Drake Kreitzer, of course, Ava Wright as well, the two high school teammates and two true freshmen. It seems to be where Stanford believes the most vulnerability lies. Evans conducting once more. She's been so cool and composed at the back. 18 minutes through. Wright gets stuck in, and it's a throw for the Cardinal. Wind pressing down, well controlled. Not for long though. Douglas using her prowess to win it back and igniting the ASU dugout. She's fouled. Yellow card, first booking of the match. It's Angie. Gets her name written down. It's her first yellow of the season.
It's a smart foul from Angie. Yeah, it's going to stop the clock. It's going to give out the yellow card, but you can't let Nicole Douglas get free if you're Stanford. You can't let her drive the space. Her decision-making is so good. Cal let her do it one time last game. It ended up resulting in a free kick early on that Alexia Delgado scored.
As Nels comes all the way up out of goal to take the free kick. Gives ASU an extra body to go try and win this ball in the air. Nels driving ball that's going to put it in the reach of her opposite number as Campbell catches. Angie swerves away from Van Dersen, finds Rubenstein. Angie slides it forward. Leonetti. Montoya's offside. Sam McConnell, the AR on this near side, lowers the flag. The rest of this officiating crew, Melissa Beck, the AR on the opposite side, and the fourth official is Richard Herron. Rather, actually, Selena Marquez is the fourth official. Herron, merely an observer today.
Just as we are. We are all witness to greatness.
Ryan, a former official in his own right.
Former? I'm still licensed.
Present official, okay.
Still
License still
licensed.
carries. Certainly of the guild.
What do you think is a tighter, to use your word, guild? The goalkeepers union or the referees union? I'm going to say referees, but I'm also biased, as are you, former goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper is a kind term to describe what I was.
Yeah, but okay, answer the question now.
Probably the referees.
Thank you.
I feel like you guys catch much more flack, and that brings you together, forged in fire.
Thank you. That's all I have to say, really, honestly.
ASU off to this excellent start in 2022, that 2-0 mark this year after consecutive wins to open up the conference slate, trying to make it 3-0. Having some trouble provided by Stanford, but the flag is up on the near side once more. It's offside again, and ASU's back line dancing with the devil a bit. Stanford trying to run in behind.
And this one's played out a little bit differently. That Colorado game, a lot more frantic. ASU dominated early. Colorado came back in the second half. ASU found the late winner. The Cal game was frantic early, and Arizona State found an early lead. Colorado came back, almost really pushed those last 5 minutes of that game to try and tie it. This one, much more calm, composed. Both teams trying to figure each other out in the heat.
Campbell scoops up. Still scoreless, but far from sleepy. It's been an energetic start to the match, and you have to wonder how well these teams might be able to keep that tempo up. Every passing minute, those legs are going to feel heavier with the 90-degree heat, 20+% humidity. Stanford coming off their second consecutive game here in the state of Arizona as they took on the Wildcats, a 2-0 victory on Thursday. Kerberg steps in. And Dersen able to clutch it. Skips it by Angie, finding Wynn. And Douglas, and well defended by Evans. Halfway through this first half of play, stoppage in the action. Both teams able to tinker with the formation and evaluate themselves, get some water. For more on that injury from a couple moments ago, Jasmine Wilkinson going down, we send it down to our pitch side man, Kevin Malater. Kevin, what's the news?
Yeah, guys, well, as soon as she was escorted off the field, she went straight back to what appeared to be a medical tent behind the Arizona State dugout for several minutes. She was seen giving several tests, what appeared would be her head, so don't want to speculate with that, but that's the type of test she was given. She was also very communicative with the members of the Arizona State medical staff, as well as keen on rehydrating during that period. We'll keep you updated on that scenario.
Kevin, thank you. Of course, have to be even more cautious when it is this hot outside with any kind of head injury, and physios will be working hard today to make sure everybody's at their best and able to carry on in this heat.
Drink water?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's the toughest thing, is these first 23 minutes of play have been very much tight, and you're trying to figure out who's better, but also the heat is affecting that as well. Again, everybody trying to figure out what's going on. It's hot out. Not quite sure which team will strike first. I think, Peyton, whichever team does strike first is going to have a chance to kill this game off by possessing, maybe finding a second goal, It'd be a big opportunity for either Arizona State or Stanford to go and find that opening goal and then give yourself the idea and the tempo to win this game and control it.
Only change being made by either side out of the water break appears to be Gabby Rennie coming on for ASU. Likely to replace Carrie Matthews on the right side as she did against Cal in the midweek. Player who transferred in this offseason from Indiana, a player that's represented New Zealand at the international level, and a player that you would have thought would have factored more into this team coming into the year, yet to find that regular position in the 11 for Graham Winkworth, but has earned some minutes as of late, training really hard and training really well in recent days.
Played better for Arizona State in recent weeks, Peyton, and she's getting more minutes because of that. She also gives you an energy that I think not many of the wingers that ASU can trot out do.
Here's Johnson down the left flank. Looking for an angle to whip one in. 1-2 with Wen, and now Johnson to the byline, crossing the face of goal. Best look for ASU in quite some time. But now Dom's trying to make that parade short-lived as she counters quickly. Cutting by defenders. A sharp blade, Dom's in midfield.
And Kerberg was with her the whole way. So that's the plan. Wilkinson goes out with the injury. Kerberg comes in, defender by trade. She's going to just watch and shadow Maya Doms the entirety of her time on the pitch. She might come off. They might bring another one on to come and shadow. They're not going to let Maya Doms beat them today, Arizona State.
Because Doms has been marked out of the match, it appears it's been a little bit more difficult for Stanford to feed the ball to their number 9, Lumi Kostmeyer.
There hasn't been enough splitting of lines, I think. You want to get guys like Engie on the ball so they can split a line and play Kostmeyer, who can then lay it off for Doms. But because Doms isn't creating space, Arizona State's mid-block has been really good in terms of their midfield are marking really well. Delgado is following Engie really well. Van Dersen marking on Leonetti really well. And, of course, that whoever the 6 has been controlling Maya Doms in the midfield.
Sun Devils win it back. Van Dersen shuffling ahead. Turns the corner and gives it away. Doms by Delgado. Leonetti a step over to the left foot. Kerber goes in, and it's a great tackle. Still with Leonetti, though. She dupes Kreitzer. Montoya. Delgado deals with it. Here come the Cardinal. Bolting up the pressure, the intensity. Right on cue, they give it back to the Sun Devils. Wright trying to unleash Rennie. Blitzing down the right side, putting her head down, getting to work, but the ball a little overcooked.
Checking back to that midfield battle that's going on between Arizona State's midfield 3 and Stanford's midfield 3, it's why I think you've seen the Cardinal have a lot more success playing out wide. They're attacking the fullbacks more because they can't get their midfield open. And Stanford, a team that has talent everywhere, that's the challenge for Arizona State, is you can choose to take the midfield out of it for Stanford. They're still uber athletic and uber gifted on the outsides. It makes it tough on the 2 fullbacks, the 2 center backs. It's a tough cookie to crack.
Engie. Evans, when in her face, locates Rubenstein. Now a bombing ball over the right shoulder of Wright.
Offside, thank you.
Montoya has a go for goal, but it will matter not. Offside once more. Is that something planned by ASU, an offside trap, or is that Stanford just being a little bit too eager to make the run in?
Come again.
Stanford caught offside multiple times here. It's already the 3rd time of the half, so Ryan, as the ball falls for Nels, she picks up outside of her 18. In your mind, is that more of an offside trap, or is that something that Stanford's doing, just being a little too aggressive, trying to run in?
I think it's not much of an offside trap, more as it is Stanford being aggressive and, again, flooding their play out wide. They're not getting a lot in the midfield. They're trying to push the ball wide. You're always going to be offsides more when you're trying to play your wingers in behind.
That's it, Lauren. That's it. Now you're kicking.
Taking space, Wesley.
Come on, Gab. Come on, Gabby.
Montoya,
That's it.
good touch from her. She continues to needle on Montoya. Doms flips the field. Played just a touch behind Rubenstein, so she has to go back and get it. Good side-to-side stuff from the Cardinal. Doms. That time couldn't quite thread it through Delgado. Kerberg didn't see quickly closing Kosmeyer, but is able to get out of the bind. A bad giveaway, Leonetti. And Nels.
Every moment like that, Peyton, feels like it could cost somebody, whether it's Arizona State or Stanford. One giveaway feels like it could decide this game, and I think that's where you've got to be careful if you're ASU. You need to be patient with the ball. You need to be solid and confident with it as well. Kerberg playing a pass that I don't think she was fully sure she was confident in, and it almost came to bite her in the back.
Under duress, Carlier and Nels, who is good with her feet, sweeps it away. It's Stanford asking all the questions now, though.
Nice.
Trying to poke it forward, Doms.
You have to win this.
And Durson gets a stab at it.
Come on, Olivia. Go to her. Call for it.
Johnson clears her lines into a pocket, running hard for it. Nicole Douglas fights through the freshman center back to take it. As Evans was left on an island there. And now Van Dursen. Rennie on the run. Her cross. Maybe it took a deflection. Yes, it did. ASU's first corner.
It's good from Nicole Douglas at the initial moments of that move to get to the ball first, lay it on for Van Dursen. Eva had no one to switch the play to. Rennie had filled in the space, playing almost as a second striker, a very inverted forward. And I think ASU, if Rennie's a little bit wider or right, Ava Wright, the fullback, is a little bit further up the field, ASU can switch quicker, get Stanford off guard quicker. The Cardinal are getting tired, and so are the ASU Sun Devils, though, as well.
It will be a platoon of fresh faces for Stanford. At least 5 Cardinal players set to check in at the next opening. Mayo at the ready for ASU, but now Delgado thinks about a set piece, a corner to the back post. Squared on by Douglas, up high for Carlier, still bouncing. Doms, bit of shabby defending from her, but good enough to relieve the tension. Stanford, such a deep team, such a young team with a ton of talent. They will try and tilt the match. New ingredients chosen by legendary coach Paul Ratcliffe. Sayer, Pajador, and many others coming in. Kosmeyer notably coming off.
There we go.
Catherine Paulson also in as right to it, not wasting a moment. Kennedy Mayo, who hooks one over the frame of goal.
And it's Douglas still in the game as well for ASU. Talking to Graham Winkworth in the build-up to this one after the Cal game. She went 90 minutes there in the sun today, how hard she runs and how much she has to do for ASU. We thought she might get a break. She hasn't yet. I wonder when that break comes.
Johnson in pursuit. Instead of risking it and playing back to the keeper, just takes it out of touch for a throw.
And if that break comes as well, because if you want to give her the break, you want to give it to her in the first half. You're going to need her, more importantly, in the second 45. So it is surprising to see her still on the field right now.
Poor first touch there from Sayer.
That being said, in a game that's this close, I don't know if you want to take off your number 9 who's got 9 goals and an assist this year.
Yes, you can do so much as well to bolster that tournament resume this weekend as Douglas doesn't look in the slightest weary, but can't quite whittle through midfield.
We'll see if Rennie and Mayo, the 2 new wingers, pick up the slack pressing for her. Maybe that's the break that Douglas gets. The 2 wingers, 2 athletic and really physically talented wingers in Mayo and Rennie kind of fill up the gaps and allow Douglas to maybe take a little bit of a breather up top.
All right, we've been on hand for a lot of ASU's games here the early stretch. It feels like this is the first time Graham Winkworth has used this front three, this trident of attacking players.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Rennie and Mayo have been on the field in any other game other than maybe UAB where they were rotating, or Grambling where they were rotating, or the preseason exhibition game against Long Beach.
Doms. And Doms tries her luck. Couldn't quite get the dip.
She struck it so cleanly, though. That's the danger. If she drives that a little bit more, totally there's a world where she can find that one into the back of the net.
When a player of her quality gets the ball in an area like that and gets the opportunity to cast her gaze on goal, everybody just kind of stands up and the hairs on the back of your neck rise. Ava Wright's coming off. Megan Farrell's coming on. Farrell, who got a couple starts in the middle of the year, filling in for Wright. Try and impact the match. Also coming in, Anasia Colon, the uber-talented freshman.
She's at the ready.
Van Dersen, again, hounded and harassed, and Kerberg can't keep it on.
Stanford pressing that middle part now. They want to put 2 on Kerberg, 2 on Van Dersen in tight areas. That could be problems. You mentioned when Kerberg came on, would they pick on her?
Hanging cross that's hoofed away from goal. Sayer sticking with it and weaving through defenders. Evans. Sun Devils pinned in. Paulson blockaded. Early on, a lot of that play came down the left-hand side. Now, Montoya out of the match for Stanford. It feels like Paulson being used as a more common route into the attacking third. Farrell at a right angle. Now Van Dersen. Stanford would have done what feels like an excellent job of taking Van Dersen and Delgado out of the match. Delgado quite literally on the bench at this stage. Looks like Jasmine Wilkinson is up with teammates on the bench, has yet to re-enter. Some more on the outlook for the Sun Devil stopper, Kevin Malater. Kevin. Maybe another time. In the meantime, Lucy Johnson on the prowl, perusing forward and unable to locate Kennedy Mayo. Throw for Johnson. Mayo lets it lie. Stanford quickly able to dispatch the ball to the opposite side, and now they're running out. Racing down the far touch line. It was Jasmine Ike. She's able to pick it up. Now flying in is Sayer, and Nell's up for it again. Now we believe we have Kevin Malater. Kevin, what do you see?
Yeah, Peyton, you just mentioned a couple minutes ago that Jasmine Wilkinson's back in the dugout with her team. She was seen leaving under her own power. I have yet to see her participate in any of the team stretching that they do during certain intervals of the match, but it's definitely a good sign, though, to see her back with her teammates and supporting her out there. We'll see if she'll be able to re-enter the match later on, especially this week with how much head trauma has been in the news with sports.
Kevin, thank you for being the eyes and ears up amongst it. We'll keep an eye on that. ASU has done well without her, though. Lauren Kerberg has filled in quite well.
She's not been as clean on the ball, I think, Kerberg, as you would have hoped. And She hasn't filled that role that Wilkinson does, but defensively, she's marked Maya Doms. She's on her here, just following her everywhere she goes. That's the role that they want to implement today for that number 6.
Wesley and Evans. No, it's almost like a great shooter in basketball, how you just want to make them work to get open, yes?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's kind of how you see maybe some of the great perimeter defenders in the NBA, Mark Steph Curry or James Harden. You want to make them institute that much more sweat and effort into getting some shots up.
Van Dersen in, fighting for it, Stanford as they keep it. A shot is blocked. Farrell steps in. Now Delgado calmly plays wide. Appears Ine Colon has taken up the mantle up top as Delgado's back into the match.
And we did talk about that, right? So Cologne was going to come in and maybe play for Douglas. She was going to come in for somebody. Graham Winkworth said that in Asia's been this false 9, very similar to how he deploys Nicole Douglas. So that would be kind of what has made sense, and now she comes in. She's a little more technical than a lot of the other options, that being Rennie and Mayo that have played the 9 this year.
Sun Devils have had to carry the weight, an extended defended period. Trying to lift themselves and give themselves a little bit of levity before the half. Stanford really starting to grip the match. Dangerous ball that's going to fall in a good area, and it's cut back, and it's great recovery from Farrell and Johnson. Well dealt with. Farrell caught a little bit flat at the back as Cologne presses on Wesley. Freshman from Florida, who's been in fantastic form to start the year. Doms, uncontested touch from her, and she almost didn't know what to do with it as it ran over her toes. Stanford with a throw. ASU is the side that's having to work a little bit harder now, though, yes.
Yeah, and it's because they started so fast, Peyton. They had this effort early on that's forced Stanford to sit in, and now Arizona State expelling a lot of that effort early. Now they're having to sit in, survive to halftime. It's kind of where these changes will start to come. Jazz Wilkinson might be one of those changes. She's getting ready on the sideline to re-enter, I'd imagine, for Kerber, showing that that's how important she can be and needs to be today as well.
Rubenstein flings it wide. Wesley. Now searching in. Doms circling. Slip forward. Ike, but appears the flag is up. Once again, Stanford called offside. Already the 4th one of the half.
Come on, Devils!
5 minutes to the curtain fall. 40 minutes through. Pauline Nels calling everybody forward, sensing a rare opportunity to allow ASU to move to the attacking half. Ricocheting and Mayo in the area as it's picked up by Campbell, who releases. And Rubenstein able to make up for a bad first touch with a great second one. Evans prying ASU open. Sayer into the channel. Ike and Johnson. Jasmine Wilkinson will give it a go to close up shop in half number 1. Wesley also coming off. In her stead, Madison Eisen. Clock ticking. Back with ASU. Appears, I should say, Kerberg over to the right now. The fullback spot with Wilkinson back in. Farrell, two-footed player, will play on the left.
Come on, Devils!
Farrell sticks a foot in. The complexion changes so much with a goal from either side. Stanford or ASU, can they find it before halftime? Up for it, Nels.
It just feels tense, right? I don't know if either team has got a goal in them to close this one out, and it doesn't feel like either team, even with all the chances they've created, they've just been too solid collectively on each defensive side as well. I won't quite say it's got 0-0 written all over it because that would probably jinx it, and we'd start getting some action, but it just feels very tight.
What a ball that is, an absolute javelin to Farrell. Trying to unlock the Stanford defense. Cologne, feels like her first touch. Farrell pawing at it. Carlier, and Cologne gives it away. Couldn't control, but wins it back. Mayo in a tight space. Wilkinson. Carlier retreating and out wide for Kerberg. Stanford able to meringue ASU into running over the touchline. 1 minute left in the half. Nicole Douglas on the bench catching a breather, trying to extend that halftime rest. As ASU starts to feel the scales tilt against them a bit. Still scoreless, but Stanford certainly on the front foot. So get forward now, and offside again, the ruling. And I will be straight here. The official always has the best vantage. Absolutely, yes, unquestionably. I'm not sure where that was offside as the half sets to expire here. Nels flies forward for the fun of it, but that's 45 in the books. Here in Tempe, it's scoreless between Arizona State and Stanford.
Slow start and a slower finish as well. This game has been kind of stop and start and everywhere in between. Nobody can get anything going, Peyton, and that's because both teams are even. They're kind of the same level. They do a lot of the same things. They play the same way. It's everything you and I thought the Cal game would be on Thursday. Two teams that are very similar. We thought would be feeling each other out for the duration of the first half of the first half or so. Except this one, they've been feeling each other out for the entirety of the first 45. It'll be interesting to see where changes are made. If it's tactical, if it's personnel-wise, and your halftime is your one big chance for players to talk to each other and coaches to come in and talk to the players and make huge wholesale changes.
On a strength-sapping sun-bleached Sunday here on Pac-12 Insider and Arizona State Livestream 1. Nary a goal in sight after 45. More thoughts and comments coming up, but for now we step aside. 0-0 Arizona State and Stanford.
news.azpbs.org.
We rejoin you now from Tempe, Arizona, on site for Stanford and Arizona State. It's women's soccer on Arizona State Livestream 1. Peyton Gallagher, Ryan Sikora, and it has been a blistered, deflated half due to the elements, the sun beating down and really sapping a lot of the life out of the match.
To use a less buoyant term, it's been slow. It's been lethargic if I want to go to that next level of wordplay, but neither team can get anything really going right now. Neither team can navigate the element that is the blistering Phoenix sun, and it's made for an interesting game of changes and rotations, nobody getting any rhythm. Eventually, maybe, somebody might find a little bit of rhythm, and that might be the difference. And if nobody does, this game has 0-0 written all over it, or at least some late wild finish that could create some controversy.
Fighting the conditions down on the pitch is our pitch side man, the intrepid Kevin Malater. Kevin?
Yeah, it's hot down here to say the least, guys. I mean, as the players were walking off the field upon halftime, several players, despite being in form, were seen panting, gassing, just trying to get anything going and just try to get any energy possible. The sun is beating down here. It's going to be really interesting. During that first half, several members of the Stanford bench and on the backside were seen shading their eyes from the sun on some of those balls that were hit in the air and those crosses. So the key thing is, if you're on Stanford going in the second half, you're going to have the sun at your back. So if they need to be able to score, it's going to have to come through the air while Arizona State is having to fight the sun. Peyton, back to you.
Kevin, for a second, I want to get him back on camera. Kevin, how's the deodorant holding up? You doing okay down there?
Not great. I'm burning a lot of calories, though, guys. So that's what really matters at the end of the day.
Polo is in struggle town. Kevin, thanks. Stay hydrated down there. We appreciate it. Stanford and ASU back to the field of battle. There's a lot on the line, a lot for tournament resumes and Pac-12 standings as ASU tries to stay unbeaten this year. Stanford trying to get that bolstering win and shake off some earlier upsets, climb back into the coaches poll, the top 25. Both these teams reasonably, you could see being ranked at points this year. And for ASU, this is just the start of the journey as they'll head to Los Angeles, see the #1 ranked UCLA Bruins, and then number 20 USC, who toppled Stanford last weekend.
Gauntlet, good word to describe it. I mean, Arizona State, you open with Colorado, picked to finish 5th in the Pac-12 in the coaches' preseason poll, and then you get Cal, who's really good, Stanford, who's a little bit better than really good, and then you get UCLA and USC, who are both a little bit better than really good. It's a tough test. You got to climb the ladder, find a way through. If Arizona State has a winning record in conference play at the halfway mark through those first 5 games, though, could be really dangerous because, in theory, they might have their 5 toughest games right out of the gates. They get them out of the way second half of the season. You get Utah, you get Arizona, Oregon State, chance to be a little bit more successful.
Well, if it is to happen for ASU in this match today, there is some track record to suggest that the Sun Devils are capable. Second half wins against Colorado and Cal and matches that were tied at points in the second half. So ASU does have the capability to strike in the second 45 of play. For Stanford, very young team that relies on a lot of freshmen, trying to rebuild this program that's constantly finding themselves in the turnstiles of player graduation and moving on to the next level. As you look at the NWSL draft, ball rolling once more. 4 of the last 5 #1 overall draft picks have come from this very Stanford program. An incredible testament to Paul Ratcliffe.
And they might have Maya Doms as well, who's got a chance to do that. So, you know what? When you're winning championships and producing #1 overall draft picks, you've got a dynasty. Even though Stanford haven't won since 2019, but they are as good as it gets at the Division I level in college soccer.
Those 3 shining stars on the back of their shirt. Pachador down the left corridor and Ava Wright back into the match to try and dig in, but Pachador wins it back. Sun Devils a little sleepy out of the gate. Sensing a window, Ike, and out for a corner kick. How important are the first 5 minutes of this half?
Huge. If you can find a goal in the first 5 minutes, that completely changes the complexion of this game. Stanford's starting off stronger through the first minute.
Montoya the tanker, Nels in a crowd. Solid service, headed out. Second bite at the apple, drifting and always rising. Dom's up for the header, but falls to Cologne, and Cologne tries to lift it into some space. Nicole Douglas, Cologne up for the second ball. Right into the fight. She sets up on the what appears to be the left wing. Van Dersen out of the match to start the half for ASU with Wynn in midfield. So here is that rotation, and the foul is committed. Graham Winkworth spoke to us about during the week. It wasn't going to be in the starting 11, but throughout the course of the match, he's going to give his players a break, knowing that the thralls of conference play were going to take a toll on them eventually.
Rotation was going to be key for Winkworth this week, not only because 90 minutes, then another 90 minutes in the sun, but also because it's in the sun. You got to rotate in the heat, and they were going to press as well. You knew the energy was going to be exerted early. You knew you'd have to rotate bodies. It's a testament to the depth that ASU has shown this year compared to maybe even years in past.
Nels' service into the box. Up forward is Evans. ASU hasn't been on the front foot for quite some time, and they won't be here. Well won by Angie. And flying forward, Montoya. Racing back to meet her is Carrie Matthews and turns her away, at least for a moment. Pajador, Angie, and given away. Nicole Douglas, bodied back by Elise Evans, who used her full frame to win it. Now forward, Ike. Energy starting to pick up now. On the right side, into the box and stepped away. Ava Wright. Pachador getting involved, very much so playing a wing back. Evans all the way forward. Stanford hawking numbers into the final third. Win, can't quite win it. Evans. Stanford, a flurry of haymakers at the start of the half, and Nels rises to the occasion.
That's really good from Stanford and also really good from Arizona State. Great job at the initial segment of that pass possession of play. Carrie Matthews getting back to halt a run, and then Ava Wright doing a good job. Everyone tracking back for Arizona State, doing a good job to defend.
Kreitzer cut out. Doms prowling, and Doms taken aback by the tackle of Carlier, and then another one from Johnson, who collapses in a heap. I think she may have been stepped on as a foul is ushered in.
Megan Farrell immediately up and warming for the Sun Devils. Johnson down. Great job from Lishka Carlier, diving in at the end to make a challenge at it. It's the big ones. You need to be able to defend in one-on-one scenarios, and Arizona State has done that today.
Lucy Johnson, hard scramble streets of Nottingham, England, out of the Nottingham Forest Academy. Able to carry on, it would appear. You know, Graham Winkworth, he talks about his team so glowingly, so much love and admiration for his players, but not a fan of many of their musical tastes. Aside from Lucy Johnson, she was very complimentary of coming into the matchup here today as we talked to him about some of the music they may have played after that Cal victory.
Complimentary, but he also called her taste in music cheesy, so it was kind of a
fair
backhanded compliment to Lucy and also a slander of his own musical taste as well.
Well, we know Graham Winkworth got an excellent set of pipes. Maybe some more on that here in a moment, and Stanford will take the ball back. But no, when Winkworth was a younger man in the city of Nashville, he was known to frequent all the honky-tonks in and around the Music City. Particular bar, Silverado's, was a favorite haunt of his. Doms to the byline and twirls out of touch. Goal kick.
Elaborate on known to frequent. Did everybody know he was known to frequent, or did he know he was known to frequent here?
Well, the man can sing, and that's not a joke.
Okay.
So I would imagine he would have some acclaim amongst the regulars.
Tough to get.
It's a hard town to stand out,
Yeah,
though.
I was going to say, tough to get fame in Nashville, but if Winkworth can do it there, he can do it anywhere, as they say.
Cowboy of the Cumberland Plateau.
Great possession out of the back.
Side, trying to maybe sing their own song. Carrie Matthews with a touch and a fling forward. Wynn overlapping in. Her cross not high enough. Didn't clear the first hurdle. Pagidor plays off. Looked like Ava Wright out for a throw.
And that possession out of the back is probably the best Arizona State has done against a press today, and it allowed Olivia Wynn so much space going forward. She was a little slow to move the ball after, but Stanford are pushing more numbers higher up the field, starting to press a little bit more as the sun and the game goes on a lot longer. ASU, if they can build out like that every time, they've got a really good opportunity to break Stanford down and create some opportunities.
Lumi Kosmeyer back leading the line for Stanford. Gets her first look at the ball there and can't quite keep it. Wynn starting to become more of a fixture in the match in midfield now. Back for Nels. Johnson, beautiful 1-2, but reading the play very well there on the far side was Stanford. Looked like that was Angie covering all the way over there.
It's shifting now. So Stanford started off the half well. Arizona State weathered the storm, much like the first half, but vice versa, where ASU started out of the gates hot and Stanford calmed it down. Now it's swapped. Stanford starts well. ASU starting to come in. Olivia Wynn is cheating inside a lot more now, and I like her in the center more so than on the left.
This is very much so going to be a war of attrition. It would feel if any team can get that goal to go ahead, it's going to really do a lot to allow them to sit in and deflate the game further. ASU still without Ava Van Dersen as she recovers from that heartful first half. Great connection, 1-2, and the second ball back is not the right one from Cologne. That ball is on the floor, and it looks like Douglas is in.
And it's also good to see Wynn doing a very good job in the midfield because it allows you to rest Van Dersen just a little bit longer. She can be that closer, if you will, come in late, trumpets blaring, and try and finish off the game.
Currently 94 in Tempe. High of 95 at 3 p.m. The big thing, though, humidity at 25%, dew point of 53 degrees, and that's why this is really such an intense environment for this match to be played under the sun. It's the dry heat thing. It is very true. But today it feels more like Florida than it does Arizona. As here's Matthews. Stabs at it. Montoya not going to get the best of Wynn. These are the moments where Wynn, who can just run for days, really starts to shine. Carlier in trouble. And it's a bum rush for Stanford. Maybe in on goal. Doms pirouettes and plays through. Nels up out of goal, and she can't reach it. Open net. Carlier at the last. Does it go in? Yes, it does. But the flag is up. Offside the call. As Carlier is still struggling. Vizio sprinting on. A lot to sort out here.
Was it offsides? Was it a foul? Was it anything else other than that? The only thing I can guarantee is a mistake was made by Pauline Nels, and Arizona State looked to have paid the price on it. They might have gotten bailed out.
It doesn't appear that the goal has been allowed to stay and stand, I should say. The AR on that side raised their flag and pointed ASU's direction. Scoreboard yet to change. Carlier has tended to. We saw Wilkinson take that nasty knock in the first half. She was able to return. Now ASU dealing with an injury at the back. Really unfortunate. Carlier, who struggled with injuries all of last year, really found form these last couple of games. Hope she's okay. If there is a silver lining or any good news for Graham Winkworth as Carlier is back up and moving, it is that the backup center back, Callie Dars, does have a lot of experience and was the regular starter for a couple years heading into the season before Kreitzer took her spot. Also Lauren Kerberg, an able-bodied option. As it looks like Darst is the one that gets the call.
It is worth noting out that, yes, Darst has a ton of experience, but right now, Jazz Wilkinson is, at the moment, dropped in the build-up. They will bring on Callie Darst, and Wilkinson will step back up to the 6th. It was a foul, I think. Melissa Beck put the flag up. It almost didn't see much of a waving motion like a foul would institute. She did point, not like a point of offsides in the air, because you don't point on offsides. If you point, you're trying to point out the spot of the foul. It looked like there was a foul called, whether it be on Nels or Carlier, who was shoved into the net. Really odd moment, and that was kind of what we were talking about. The heat, you know, it'll lead to one of these odder moments or so, and it looked like Stanford was going to be the beneficiary of one.
Cardinal wasting no time getting back to work, though. Williams in, and this time Nels holds on for dear life. Grabbed it tightly there. Right. Trying to sombrero around Montoya, instead gives it away. ASU cut out. Into the corner, Montoya. Chased down by Carrie Matthews. Matthews digs in. Refusing to let go of the rope. Kosmeyer, a touch in the box by Kreitzer, and Nels calls out. Aside from that one nervy moment for Nels, for the most part, solid hands from the keeper.
Sturdy, and other than, I think it was the mistake against UAB that allowed the Blazers to score an easy tap-in against her. That might be her second mistake as an ASU goalkeeper. Not much has gone wrong for Nels this year. That almost was costly. But it's still 0-0. Clock is still ticking.
Graceful turn from Darst, frees ASU up, but only for a second. It's Montoya again. Montoya. 1-0. ASU ran out of luck. They have been able to escape a couple times, but not there. The freshman, Ali Montoya, makes it 3 goals on the year.
And it's a mistake from Andrea Kreitzer, trying to turn out and play instead of just clearing her lines. Stanford's pressure had been building this entire half. Their press had increased tenfold almost each and every minute. Comes back to haunt ASU there as Montoya got the better of Kreitzer, and it's a tough one to swallow if you're Graham Winkworth. Eva Van Dersen coming on. Off goes Alexia Delgado. I'm sure she'll get a brief 5 to 10 minute break and then right back on for her.
So now the mission clear and obvious for ASU as Douglas unable to get it to the feet of Matthews there. Pretty much a completely different game at this stage.
ASU has to chase. They have to press harder. They're going to be more tired because of that pressure. Stanford, the first goal, they have all the advantage now. Not just on the score sheet, but really mentally, emotionally, everything.
Dom's emboldened confidence and a great ball wide. Williams sizing up Darst. Williams guides it in. Wilkinson shoos it away from danger. Now Cologne breaks out. Evans takes it freshman on freshman there, and now Wesley. Douglas sprinting hard. Stanford, not a bead of sweat on their brow, though, working from the back. Kosmeyer skillfully turning into midfield. And there's the ball that goes wrong. It's Einke trying to switch the play and widen out. Sun Devils with 30-plus minutes to work with to try and equalize on a day in which each minute feels like 5.
It's plenty of time for an offense that scores over 3.3 goals per game, which is top 10 in the country nationally, right? So you'd think goals are still in this one, but with how the sun has affected the tempo and the pace of this game, I wouldn't be stunned if this game ended 1-0.
ASU hunting in packs, they win it. Douglas with a rare look at goal. Instead she defers. Matthews, her shot's blocked. Crucial touch off the shin of Pagidor. ASU with a chance to attack a corner. Got to be careful not to get caught flat-footed as they throw numbers in.
Pagidor's played quite a lot of minutes, more than I think you and I expected coming in, and she's played very well, marking Carrie Matthews out of the game, and Gabby Rennie when she came in as well. Set pieces, Peyton. It's all about them. Arizona State have had a little bit of success from them this year.
Matthews, good ball over the head of Wright. It's inches, if that. Now Cologne. Cologne lets fly. It didn't miss by much. Ryan Campbell looked unbothered, though.
Great ball from Carrie Matthews in. Driven hard, driven well. And then another great strike from an Asia Cologne. Just couldn't find the frame. ASU have responded well. That's how you want this game to look if you're the Sun Devils.
Pagidor, what a touch. Montoya connecting, dotting the triangle. It's Ike, has options on all sides. A no-look pass, Montoya's got one, looking to make it two. Instead lays off, Ike's shot, curling beyond the bar. And two substitutions for Stanford. One for Arizona State. Montoya, who gave Stanford the lead they have now, will move to the right side of the field. Angie coming off, also coming off, Samantha Williams. Abby Grubel now setting up as a left winger. So it looks like Leonetti has been injected back into the match by Paul Radcliffe. Johnson, springing Rennie. Evans with pace, able to arrive.
Ratcliffe wisely going back to his experience off the bench now to try and see if he can close this game out 30 minutes from time. That's great defensive effort. As well to track Gabby Rennie's run and force the goal kick.
Stanford team, a very young team. Very talented team, though. We've already talked at length about Kostmeyer, but Evans has been one of the best players on the pitch today, and of course Montoya, the freshman, providing the lead-giving goal.
Yeah, they're very young defensively, and they project very, very well for the future, but they have experience in the right spots. When you look at Leonetti and look at Doms, two players that can control and dictate a tempo of a game.
Matthews tried to take it early. Didn't take it well. But Wright gets her back and wins it back. Van Dersen turning and poking it beyond Leonetti, but Stanford rallies to the ball, gets it away from goal. Van Dersen. Van Dersen comes up a little bit gimpy, but ASU charges on for it anyway. Sun Devils decidedly now on the attacking half of the field.
How long of a break are you willing to give Alexia Delgado if you're Graham Winkworth? You need to chase this game. You need to find creativity. She's your most creative player. When does she come back on the field, and where is she deployed? Is it for Wilkinson? Does Wen come off? That's the big question now for ASU. What do you do with your next decision, your next sub you're making? And it doesn't look like very long. Delgado taking off the penny, getting ready to come in.
Matthews trying to get the edge. It's going to be a corner kick. Matthews looked quite lethal in her last delivery from the near flag. And notably, everybody's forward. Pauline Nell's the only player back, as Wen is about the midway point in her positioning in the attacking half. Van Dersen is the short route. What's the routine here? Corner comes. Another decent ball to the back post, struck by Douglas. Still there, Wilkinson. Doms out for another corner.
The routine was go to the back post and put one back in across. Ava Wright had a chance to slap one in. She couldn't.
Douglas couldn't rise high enough, but still with Rennie. Up for it, and it's a good catch. A great catch from Ryan Campbell. She went up high and took it off the top shelf, and there's an ASU player down. It looks like Ava Wright. Ball smoked wide. Pajador again impacting the game with quality and a great ball. Grubel. Kreitzer can't catch up, and Nels walls off the near post. Still Pajador. Leonetti, her shot is wide. Fine margins. It could have easily been 2-0 Stanford.
It's great from Pajador too, right? That's perfect build-up. A great touch, drive it forward, push the tempo, push the emphasis. Stanford are growing, but ASU are starting to push back a little bit more too. Delgado and Kennedy Mayo getting instruction. We've been waiting to see Alexia Delgado come on for a while now. And in fact, Stanford make the first change. Elise Evans coming off.
Looks like Avani Brandt is the one who spells her. As Lucy Johnson eaten up by the ball. Leonetti touching by the sliding tackle Wilkinson. Pajador. Grubel, a ball roll, a step over, and a blow by Wright. And Wright catches up in time to take it out for a corner. Decent header from Leonetti. It comes off ASU last, so another bite at the apple for the Cardinal. Montoya's chance to wreak a bit of havoc. Give Stanford some more security. Outswinging ball. Taken away from danger by Wright. Wesley's shot is blocked as well. Now Grubel down the right side. To the byline. Her cross is not a bad one, but Wynn glances it away from goal. Pajador, another go. Thinking about it. Is Nels let it lie, and with a rare chance to get something toward target, Kostmeyer can't convert.
Kreitzer, other than that mistake that led to the Stanford goal, has done a fantastic job. She's had to keep an eye on the handful that is Kostmeyer. Has done a very good job. And it is Olivia Wen who's sacrificed. So ASU will go overly technical. Delgado should sit. And you should see Van Dersen a little bit higher up the field.
Wilkinson also coming off. There seems to be a bit of confusion about that.
No, I think she's just having a discussion, and with Winkworth, she might not be exiting the field of play. Yeah, she is not. So maybe that's not the case, as Wilkinson has not left the field of play. She'll stay on. She'll still sit in that hole, and you'll have the two attacking midfielders be Delgado and Van Dersen.
Water break on the field. A much-needed one at that. The level has picked up a bit here in this half compared to the latter stages of the first half. But ASU now behind 1-0. The terms of engagement shift.
You got to press a little more. You got to be a little more active. You got to be a little more engaged and energized to close it out. You got to come out of this water break with an idea, a clear idea, and a clear amount of energy as well.
course, the Sun Devils now without their sentinel at the back. Liska Carlier being evaluated with an injury. For more on that, we send it down to Kevin Malater. Kevin?
Yeah, guys, so they're obviously in that scrum that originally had the original goal to allow Liska Carlier took a hit in what appeared to be the head area. At least that's what they were checking on her when she went back to the medical tent. She is back up with her teammates now. She was seen showing support to her teammates throughout the course of that opening Stanford goal. So keep an eye on her and see if she'll return later in this game. And that's a key loss in the back that Graham Winkworth knows about, and he's been very adamant about picking up the slack in the backside.
And Kevin, are you hearing anything from Winkworth about the team pushing forward more, trying to attack and chase this game?
Yeah, he's been very adamant about going together. He felt it's been too individual for his liking thus far in terms of the runs they're getting on goal, which is why we've seen very few chances. Now, granted, they have picked up over the last couple of minutes prior to this water break, but still, he's been very adamant about pressing together as one.
Kevin, one last thing before the ball gets back moving. What's the body language look like down there as Nell sends forward?
Stanford very reinvigorated. You can tell the heat was really getting to them, and that opening goal right there spread a new spark of life for them. Arizona State, the exact opposite. They were full of so much energy, understanding that this was an opportunity, and they are playing very strong, but that goal completely deflated that Holmes dugout right now, Peyton.
Kevin, thank you. Every player notably in the ASU bench and in that area now standing. Whatever was said in the water break by Graham Winkworth, hope for the Sun Devils that it can carry them to a different level. And that next gear that they need to find even ground. Carlier still out of the match. Lucy Johnson venturing ahead. Graham Winkworth wanted a foul there, but instead he'll be awarded a throw-in from the similar area as the ball was cleared right beyond him. Douglas chesting down. Van Dersen has to fling herself at it. Now Grubel. Ava Wright. Not much ambition there in the tackle, but Grubel took it too wide. I'm going to say that the reason for that was no, they're going to have Ava Wright go back to where the ball rolled out. Thought they were going to give the throw to Stanford. Wilkinson. Van Dersen. Something Stanford seems to be doing pretty well here is they prevented Delgado and Van Dersen from linking up hardly at all. But here's Kennedy Mayo. Just bodies off the defender. Now plays into the center, Van Dersen. Half-hit ball into a little area behind the back line is gobbled up by Ryan Campbell.
It's just not the right ball for Ava Van Dersen. Often making the right decisions, she has been, but today not so much. She's been put in tough spots. She's trying to find these forward areas. Stanford have been so good at defending them, though. She hasn't had much to work with.
Kosmeyer trucks through Lucy Johnson, and foul is awarded. Far side by Melissa Beck. Lucy Johnson, who's played as many minutes as anyone here today, pretty much the whole match, trying to play through some adversity, got taken down earlier in the match and picked up what appeared to be a little bit of a knock. She has it now. The ball rolls wide of the line, though. Kosmeyer to come off. Blunted a bit by the heat. Catherine Paulson will take up her position. Ava Wright also coming off. Freshman for freshman as Farrell takes up a right back position. Ike. Fleet feet and now forward. Pajador. Paulson. Dazzling and dancing and cutting back. Her cross. Grubel touches towards the byline. Back post. No one's there. Delgado up ahead for Mayo, and Mayo chopped over. ASU throw. 20 minutes left to the tail. Sun Devils chasing the rest of the way. Leonetti dives in. Now Nicole Douglas, who in many moments has put this team on her back, this time can't find her way through the thicket. Ryan, do you see any pathway for Graham Winkler's side to maybe find that way to whittle through this really robust and stout Stanford defense?
Taking the last chance you're going to get, maybe the only chance you get. 18 minutes. They haven't had much in the first 72. I don't expect Arizona State to create much more than they have. 6 shots, 0 on target so far for the Sun Devils. They need to just find one, and if they can take that one, they can get back in.
Into the center. Ike's shot. Great block by Farrell. Then a giveaway. Wilkinson, a nice touch from her. Sun Devils leaking out. Rennie. As ASU plunges numbers into the attacking half. Van Dersen. Prying run, and now wide Mayo. And Mayo's offside. Just couldn't time the run.
It was close. At least Sam McConnell is consistent. We saw a couple of those moments in the first half on that side for Stanford's attacking play that might not have been offsides that were called that way. So we're seeing a consistent ruling. If it's close, the defender is getting the benefit of the doubt in McConnell's mind. That's something as close to the officiating lifestyle as I am. I can live with and I can respect.
Is the 5th or 6th time that McConnell has deadened the game for an offside. Here's Montoya in midfield, jaggedly racing towards the touchline, and Johnson flings herself in. That could be something out of the pocket of Hector Perez, and it is. A yellow card. First warning issued to a Sun Devil as Lucy Johnson is booked for the 2nd time this year. Rubenstein presides over it. Well struck away from goal. Van Dersen chasing. A smattering of support from the Sun Devil fans, trying to lift their team. Douglas from midfield. Incisive ball. Rennie was on the wrong shoulder, though, to make anything happen. Mayo heels on the touchline. And Van Dersen, some of the best possession we've seen out of ASU in the match. Kreitzer. Farrell threaded through Rennie, and an excellent tackle. Sliding it away was again Pagidor, who's been a star turn. Delgado left behind her. Kreitzer trying to sweep up and does.
It's been one moment for Andrea Kreitzer. She's been 75 minutes and 45 seconds of fantastic and 15 seconds of one mistake, and that might end up being the difference.
Delgado a giveaway. It's trouble for ASU, and it's Grubel for Stanford, and it's a save by Pauline Nails. Her left hand keeps the Sun Devils in the match. What a huge moment for the freshman keeper.
She had to make the save, and she did. It's essentially all you can ask for from your goalie in those moments is come up big when ASU needs it most, and she does. Keeps the Sun Devils in the game. They have to go find a goal still, though, Peyton. That's the biggest thing.
Second goal for Stanford, you would think would be a death nail at this point.
It'd kill it. It'd kill it. I don't see any possible world where ASU has the energy, let alone the quality maybe in this game to take two.
Rennie trying to link up with Nicole Douglas. Sun Devils leading light, Nicole Douglas, who's top 10 nationally in goals. She's felt frustrated throughout this 77 minutes or so.
She has not gotten much of the ball, or even less of the ball than she got against Cal, but the biggest difference is Douglas didn't get a lot of the ball further up the field against UC Berkeley. Against Stanford, she hasn't even gotten the ball really anywhere on the field.
Pinned in now, Pachador, and a dummy. Well worked by Paulson, but the ball is going to dribble and trickle over the line. Two more Stanford subs. Elise Evans coming back on. Montoya, the difference maker, will also sub out. Her goal, the difference between the two teams. Samantha Williams, the junior from Laguna Beach, coming in.
The difference in the first half and the second half for ASU has been in the second 45, they've been passing into space, trying to find a way to get their players open. First half, they were passing to feet and trying to move the ball collectively. It's been a little bit of a change. They haven't been as accurate, and it's hurt them. ASU has they've not played as well.
Williams with fresh legs, and by Johnson, and Darce blocks it out. Grubel, options in the centers. A rocket of a shot takes Johnson off her feet, and Johnson still down. You can hear the sound all the way up here. Johnson, who's battled and stuck in and shown an iron chin in moments today and really throughout her career. Unable to shake this one off. That was a cannon of a shot.
She rifled it, and it's been Stanford's second half. They've had so many opportunities to create from outside the box, inside the box. 16 shots. Feels like about 5 of those have come in the last 7 or 8 minutes. They've put it on to close it out. And they've kept the ball as well, Peyton. They've really controlled the tempo of this game. If you're the Cardinal and if you're Paul Ratcliffe, you're very pleased with how your young team has come in on a road game, hot weather, unusual circumstances for what they're used to feeling, and they've done a good job of managing this game out.
Well, and for Stanford, and more importantly for ASU, one of the players that's been able to break up that tempo and that linkage has been Lucy Johnson, who is still struggling. Right, you've been in those moments where you've been pelted by a shot like that. What's it feel like?
I think, you know, it feels, it's a tough feeling to go and try and put into words because it's all in your head, both sides. Any feeling this late in the game can always be just a thought that you don't really know quite what it is per se, but it's something you know is there. It's an energy if you're Arizona State to go and push forward. It's an energy if you're Stanford to sit and defend and hold, but not really sure. It's tough to.
Lucy Johnson limping off. Joe Chubb comes, the assistant coach, to support her. Her way off the pitch is ASU. Will require Ava Wright to come back in, this time in a left-sided role. Ball moving again to the byline. Diving low to head it away is Darst. Cologne. She's sent spiraling. Rubenstein with a dangerous play there, lifting the leg high, and it's another Sun Devil down. Clock stopping medical staff that's already preoccupied dealing with Lucy Johnson's injury from less than 30 seconds ago will rush back into action once more. Yellow card is shown. Ken Rubenstein, the offender there, her first yellow of the season. A sweltering Sunday. Arizona State has been beaten. They have been bruised. Several key players have needed medical attention throughout. We still have yet to see Liska Carlier re-enter after that goal mouth scramble. Graham Winkworth just running out of answers at a certain stage, given all the things that his team has had to endure through the course of the match. Cologne will come out. Carrie Matthews will come on. Cologne was playing in midfield, so we'll see how that impacts the shape. Sun Devils, 12 minutes to make it count. Stanford with the advantage, holding all the cards after that Montoya goal earlier in the half. Arizona State's unbeaten record on the line. Ball flicked back towards goal, and Campbell collects. Delgado, neat touch, but then given back. Doms, and it rolls in. Paulson maybe delivers the knockout. It's 2-0 Stanford. It's a breakdown at the back for ASU. They pay the price in full.
Yep, and another mistake for the Sun Devils. Brings Stanford into this one and puts it away. That's the dagger in the coffin with 12 minutes to go. It's tough if you're ASU. You've made a couple mistakes. You've been bailed out on a couple, but 3 or 4 mistakes is always going to lead to 1 or 2 goals. It was not a day for the Sun Devil defense. They couldn't withstand the heat. The pressure that Stanford brought upon them in the second half was just too much.
What a resilient showing from Stanford against the elements and against tight turnaround. Of course, that is what everybody in the Pac-12 deals with, as Graham Winkworth's going to be shown yellow. It doesn't appear he knows why. Kicked off. ASU with much to do. Matthews. But what a showing from Stanford, as on only 3 days of rest, go beat Arizona in a game that was tied at halftime. 2 second half goals there, get the job done. Looks like a similar story here today against ASU. High quality opponent. Stanford unranked right now in the coaches poll for the first time all year. They certainly look like a team that deserves a number by their name today.
They have played well. They've deserved the win. They've displayed their talent as well, Peyton. They've put it out there and said, yeah, we're young, especially at the back, but we're going to be sturdy. We're going to be strong, on course for a clean sheet here against an Arizona State team that scores with the best of them in the country. And they've also gone and scored some goals today off mistakes, but they forced those mistakes. It's a big boosting win for Stanford, but also for Arizona State. That becomes the next big question, is you are 17th in RPI. How far do you fall with a loss here?
Searching ball to the back post. Farrell will keep it on. ASU, of course, not able to drop their heads as they chase on. Plenty of time left in it. If they can just get one back. Wesley taking it to the corner flag. Clearing it over the near line. After that first flurry in the 10 minutes, Arizona State's attacking ability appears to have dried up. As they're going to say this throw belongs to Stanford.
Hasn't been the same. It just slowed down. The passes of play just weren't as clear and cut and concise, and they couldn't get anything going if you were ASU. It was a struggle to close out the game. Passes were not as accurate in the second half as they were in the first, and that led to mistakes, which led to goals.
Kreitzer bobbles it back. Nels calmly puts her foot through it. That was a risky bit of business from the goalkeeper. She came up, dealt with it well. Ike. Now Montoya, ever present, getting involved again. Stanford has defined the terms of engagement. They have, throughout the match, gotten stronger and stronger. Playing their best football right now. Great one, too. Montoya set free, but the ball's going to evade her reach. Took a deflection, though. No, it did not.
No. I was going to say.
Douglas sent toppling over, came off her last. Montoya toying with defenders. Doms not inclined to press forward, at least not needlessly so. Back for Evans. Ike. Stanford now giving Arizona State the runaround. Sun Devils frustrated. They can't come close to the ball. Doms. Darst. Doms called for the foul. Too much of the jersey.
Just trying to work her way around Callie Darst. Couldn't do so. If Arizona State wants to get their way back into this game and try and force a tie late, you need to go within the next 2 or 3 minutes. No stoppage time after the 90, so you've only got 7 minutes of actual game time. You're going to know that. It's going to increase the urgency for the Sun Devils. You need one now.
The Stanford side, seen so many different players score from this year. 13. I believe 13 goals as well coming from freshmen, growing into themselves. That's what Paul Ratcliffe said to us. We asked him the question, what do you think your team is best at? And he said nothing yet. But he feels like in every area his team has consistently improved throughout the year, culminating with an excellent performance here today against a worthy opponent. Ball in from Van Der Sint. Not the worst idea as it comes flicking through the 18. Thumbed away, but only as far as Farrell. Van Der Sint. Again, it's Campbell who's been steadfast between the pipes.
You were saying that, Coach Ratcliffe thinks that they're not good at anything, but they're competent at everything. That's a big thing to have when you have a young team. They're only going to get better as the year progresses when you start off as young as Stanford are. And this has probably been their biggest statement so far, a 2-0 win. As it stands against an Arizona State program that projects as a tournament team, it's a big confidence booster as well. When you have that confidence as a young team to take it to the next level, you improve that much more and that much quicker.
Big homestand coming up for the Cardinal as they head home to the farm. 3 consecutive matches against Washington, Washington State, and UCLA. Of course, UCLA, the top team in the nation as we sit and speak. Washington schools both in and around the top 25, with Wazoo currently sitting in that region as well. Throwing for Stanford. Five minutes left. Stanford looking for another. Good cover from Van Dersen, who's not giving up just yet. Out for another Stanford corner. I think the big thing you're taking away from this, though, as you look at the statistical profile, Stanford's outshot all of their opponents this year. 17 shots today, 6 on target to only 6 from ASU, none on frame. Stanford now had 5 corners as well.
The Cardinal have been unlucky to lose games this year, and it's clearly that this is a team is 8-1-2 and about to go to 9-1-2 on the season. They are better than what that record even reflects, and it's a solid record, right? So it's a team who I think came in today around the 40s in RPI. They're much better than that. They're a top 25 team in the country, maybe top 15, and Arizona State can hang their hat that they played well. Just a couple of mistakes that leave the Sun Devils away.
Grubel scooping wide for Doms. Doms running the show, coming together with Delgado and well held at the near post by Pauline Nels. Carrie Matthews sprints out. And Nels will wait for better options. Of course, ASU particularly concerned with the health of Liska Carlier as they build from the back without their star center back. That'll be important as they head on the road to face the LA schools, 2 top 20 teams in UCLA and USC next weekend. Douglas. Grubel. Beyond Doms. Van Dersen. Not a bad ball at all. Headed out by Wesley and covered in. ASU still fighting for it. Douglas. Van Dersen waits for a moment to widen out. Mayo. Delgado pings a ball to the near side. ASU building well. Matthews. 2 minutes left in it. Decent cross, headed out. Angie for Farrell, who hoofs one in. This time pelted to the opposite end. Just not going to be Arizona State's day. They struggled to generate much invention and ingenuity on the attacking half, and again, still yet to put a shot on frame. Just a massive defensive performance from the Armada of Stanford, who have shut out one of the best attacking units in all of Division I women's soccer. Mayo with pace and a chipped attempt to the near post. Got it out of touch by way of a Stanford defender. Corner kick. 1 minute left.
And it's a big resume-boosting win for Stanford. That's the takeaway, even for ASU, is you played them tough, but Stanford got the resume booster. They came in, got a tough win on the road. They had a good weekend, and they've got a chance to get back into the top 25 poll next week. ASU should get some votes. That's another thing. The United Soccer Coaches Poll, ASU should get a result, a couple of votes. They might not be in the top 25 come next week, but if they don't get votes, I'd be stunned, Peyton.
Good catch there by Campbell. Pac-12 really looks as good as it usually is this year. Plenty of teams that are going to be in and around that top 25 as Nels able to dispatch away from an oncoming Stanford player. That's Samantha Williams. Only 15 seconds left to it. ASU might be able to save some face if that, but Stanford rules the day. The Cardinal come down into the Valley of the Sun and come away with a 2-0 win. What a performance from Paul Ratcliffe's side.
Another win, their 9th of the year, and it's a great trip down to Arizona State 48. Stanford, fantastic. They played well. They're so young. They're so talented, though. They've done so many good things all season, and today it results with probably their best win of the season.
2 second-half goals. Stanford able to outlast ASU. Really felt like Stanford was the team that actually was used to playing in these conditions for large stretches and not ASU. Huge testament to their preparation. Slowly and surely just choked the life out of ASU's attack. Any chance they had to get a result today.
They played well. They closed it out. Just did a good job at the end of the day. And that's all that I think the biggest deal is for Stanford is they did well, they played well, did phenomenally. Got the result, and now they get to move on. ASU next, they have a tough 2-game trip to California. Stanford, they get a home stretch. That's also big for them. They have a chance to get a run of form going.
Coming up here on ASU Livestream 1.
And that's the way it is. Monday, September.
Newscasting has changed a lot since the time of Walter Cronkite. That's why here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, you can learn the studio production skills of today in real time. Whether you want to work audio, direct, technical direct, design graphics, or you can even run the floor. It's all part of the Television Production and Graphics Lab here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. We're going on in 3, 2...
The Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communications Phoenix Sports Bureau provides students with hands-on learning experiences and opportunities in sports journalism. From covering local high schools, colleges, and the pros, students get the opportunity to go live from our Facebook shows covering local, collegiate, and pro sports in the Valley. From digital reporting, broadcast, social media, and producing, there's opportunities for all. For more, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Closing up shop here from Sun Devil Soccer Stadium. The final result 2-0. Arizona State felled by the Stanford Cardinal. Mighty Stanford with their 3 national titles. Just a little bit too much for Graham Winkler's side to handle. Plenty of Sun Devils struggled to finish the match. A lot of injuries and a lot to check on. For that, we send it down to Kevin Malater. Kevin?
Yeah, for Arizona State now the concern becomes injury. Several Arizona State Sun Devils were injured in the final minutes of that collab, especially in terms of the legs. We saw fatigue becoming an issue towards the back half of that first half. Well, now it became the legs. We saw several Sun Devils suffer lower leg injuries, specifically Lucy Johnson, who spent the majority of those final 10 minutes in the medical tent trying to stretch out that right leg of hers. Eventually, the medical staff ended up taping her right leg. And that all goes back to Graham Winkler's point that he was making earlier in the half when he had a screaming match with our head official today about protecting his players. At some points, he felt his players weren't being protected enough, which could potentially lead to those injuries. But now the focus has to be rest and recovery for next weekend, Peyton.
Kevin, thank you. Great point. Next weekend is of crucial importance, and ASU can't let their heads drop too much as their perfect season comes to an end, 10 games in or so. Ryan, for you, taking away from this match, what did you learn about ASU and what matters most for them with these injuries, getting players healthy?
The Sun Devils are still going to gut it out, right? They're still going to play well. They're still going to pursue and press, and they're not scared of anybody. They came out trying to play one of the best teams in the country face-to-face. They didn't turn around and shy away from a fight. They came in, only a couple mistakes, the difference. That was the big takeaway. You just have to fight the elements. You got to have a little bit more quality consistently for 90 minutes. The 2 goals that Stanford found were from mistakes at the end of the day, and if you can eliminate half of those mistakes, you eliminate half of Stanford's opportunities and maybe even half the deficit, make it a more reasonable 1-0, give yourself a chance to fight late for it. But Arizona State did fight for a result, did a very good job.
For Paul Ratcliffe and his team, where they're at right now, charging into this homestand and trying to shake back from an uneven start for them, what do you make of this performance for this team and what it might do for a very young group going forward?
You'll be pleased to be happy. Your biggest game of the year so far, you get a result, and a positive one as well, with a young team that fought elements in an unusual place. Very good day if you're Paul Ratcliffe and Stanford. They've put the rest of the country back on notice. They're a top 25 team. I do still think Arizona State is as well, but Stanford certainly proved it today.
Much to figure out, much to learn as the days go by and the season goes on. But today, we know Stanford wins this one by a final score of 2-0 on the road at Arizona State. Our next ASU soccer live stream is Thursday, October 27th. The Devils return from LA and take on the Ducks of Oregon. Action starts at 7 p.m. live on Livestream 1 from Sun Devil Soccer Stadium. Our next live stream is this Friday, October 7th, when the volleyball team hosts UCLA live from Desert Financial Arena at 7 p.m. on Pac-12 Insider. For the entire stream team, production staff, and crew, and for Ryan Sikora and Kevin Malater, I'm Peyton Gallagher saying good evening from Sun Devil Soccer Stadium on the campus of Arizona State University.